Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about Blue Dream, arguably one of the most successful cannabis strains in American history. And here's the wild part. Nobody really knows who made it. Now that's not an exaggeration. We know who created OG Kush. We know who made Sour Diesel. We know who made Granddaddy Purple. But Blue Dream, on the other hand, has no creator. So if you're new here, this channel is all about the history of cannabis, the strains, the people, and the stories that shape the culture. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so here's the setup. Sometime between 2003 and 2006, a strain called Blue Dream just showed up. It appeared on dispensary menus somewhere in California. It's probably like Santa Cruz or maybe the Bay Area. There was no announcement, no press release, no breeder taking credit. It just appeared out of nowhere. And then it took over. By the mid-2010s, Blue Dream was the best-selling cannabis strain in California, and also in Washington and later in Colorado. It actually had fans nationwide. At its peak, dispensary operators estimated that Blue Dream made up about 10 to 15% of all flower sales in California. Think about that for a second. One strain out of 1,000, and nobody knows who made it. So let's break down what we do know. Blue Dream is a cross between two strains. The first one is Blueberry, which was created by a guy named DJ Short in Oregon back in the 1970s. Blueberry is actually famous in its own right. It won the Cannabis Cup in 2000 for Best Indica. And DJ Short is a real guy, he's well documented, and he's been giving interviews for decades. The other parent is some kind of haze. But here's where things get murky. No one knows exactly which haze it was. Some sources say it's Santa Cruz haze, other claims it was Super Silver haze from Amsterdam. And here's the real kicker. DJ Short himself actually made a Blueberry haze cross, but he called it Azure Haze, which is of course a completely different name. Why did he do that? He's never really said, but it sure looks like he didn't want to claim credit for Blue Dream. So why would someone make this legendary strain and then not take credit for it? Well, it probably has a lot to do with what was happening in California at the time. The mid-2000s was a weird moment for cannabis. In 1996, Prop 215 made medical cannabis legal in California, but the federal government didn't care. The DEA was still raiding dispensaries. In fact, in 2007 alone, there were over 50 DEA raids in California. Growers who were operating legally under state law were getting prosecuted at the federal level. So if you made a legendary strain in that environment, you had every reason to stay anonymous, because taking credit meant putting your name on federal paperwork. It meant becoming a target. Whoever made Blue Dream made a choice. They decided to stay invisible and let the product speak for itself. And the product spoke pretty loudly. So here's why Blue Dream took over. First, there's the effects. It hits you just right. You get like this gentle euphoria, a nice head buzz, social mood, a little creativity. But unlike some other strong sativas, it doesn't give you anxiety. THC is typically in the 17 to 24% range. That's strong enough to be credible, but not so strong that it scares off new consumers. But tenders had a saying about Blue Dream. They called it the strain that you recommend to someone's parents. It's accessible for first-timers, reliable, pleasant. Basically, it was the house wine of American cannabis. And then there's the fact that Blue Dream is easy to grow. It finishes flowering in about 67 days, with yields up to 21 ounces per square meter. It works both indoors and outdoors. Compare that to OG Kush, which requires careful environmental management and is prone to powdery mildew. Blue Dream, on the other hand, was the rational choice for commercial growers. Maximum yield with minimum risk. And third, and this is a big one, the name itself, Blue Dream. Think about the names of other big cannabis strains. You got OG Kush, Sour Diesel, Granddaddy Purple, Trainwreck. These names are all gritty. They reference streets, events, and people. Blue Dream is different. It's pastoral and aspirational. It sounds like something you'd see on a consumer product shelf, not on a street corner. And honestly, it pre-configured a whole era of cannabis naming. Think gelato, wedding cake, runs. These are strain names like desserts and beverages. They were designed for a mass market audience that had never bought cannabis before. Blue Dream didn't just dominate the market. Its name helped shape the language the legal market would use to sell cannabis to regular people. But not everyone was happy about that. By 2017 and 2018, there was some serious backlash. Blue Dream had become a symbol of what critics saw as cannabis getting too mainstream, too commercial, too watered down. There was a saying you'd hear everywhere: Blue Dream is to weed what Merlot is to wine. It was the safe choice, the default option, the thing you got when you didn't know what you wanted. Legacy growers in Humboldt and Mendocino called it the Walmartization of cannabis. Quality was standardizing downward, craft growers were getting squeezed, and the name was getting slapped on any blueberry haze cross, whether it was the original or not. And here's why Blue Dream got hit with these criticisms more than other strains. These other strains had owners. OG Kush could be protected by Josh D's brand. Girl Scout cookies had the Cookie Fam. Blue Dream, on the other hand, was ownerless. The name could be applied to anything. So here we are today. Blue Dream is still on dispensary menus 20 years later in every single legal state. Position has eroded a bit, and newer strains like Runs and Wedding Cake have absorbed some of that market share. But Blue Dream has held on longer than any other strain in the top 10. And somewhere out there, someone knows. The person who made it may still be alive, and they may have watched Blue Dream become the best-selling strain in America. They may have even watched the backlash against it, and they never said a word. The underground cannabis economy was built on relationships, where everyone knew who did what, and the supply chain was the story. So the ghost in the supply chain is the person who made Blue Dream. The entire industry built a market around their work, and the ghost never showed up to collect. That's the story of Blue Dream. Alright, if you made it this far, thanks again for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. I drop new videos on cannabis history every week or so. But if you want to go deeper, check out my book. I explore stories like this one in a lot more detail, including the genetics, the economics, and the people who shaped it all. Links in the description.